Morning, Pete. Happy Monday. I almost made a mistake this morning. I logged in, I sat down for this podcast recording, and then I just had this thought in my head. And this is how vain I can be sometimes. I went and I logged into our YouTube video, which, by the way, if you're not subscribed and following us on YouTube, do that.
Yeah.
Not for you, for Pete. Do that for Pete. And and I realized I was wearing the same thing as I wore last week. So I'm like, oh no, this is my Monday morning outfit. I need to go quick and throw on something different. How are you doing this morning? That was my crisis like 5 minutes ago.
Wow, that I didn't realize crisis got this big. This is huge.
Monday morning
nice
crisis right there.
Yeah, Monday morning. Good morning, everyone. Great to be connected with you, Brian. Yeah, doing great. Had a brilliant weekend, and looking forward to this week, and looking forward to this conversation, Brian. It's always a weekly highlight, and just to say, I know we've said it before, but let me say again, I'm so grateful for people who are listening in. You know, at the prayer event we were at recently, people were, commenting about how the podcast was helping. I keep going to different places, people listening in, people loving it. And hey, Angie, my wife, she said, I think I'm one of the top listeners. I listen all the time.
Hi, Angie. Shout out.
So yeah, a lot of people listening and a lot of people like it. Just to say as well, Brian mentioned something there, and I think it's worth saying. Some of you connect with us on podcast, and do you know what really helps is we want more people to, if the content's helping, we want it to be heard by more people. Yeah. And one of the ways you can practically help is just leave a review. Obviously, if you don't like the podcast, don't leave a review.
Yeah, that's right. 5 stars only.
but if you like the podcast, aka 5-star review, please. No, hey, just you do you. Just send us go into Spotify or Apple Podcasts or however you do your podcast and give a review. But also for those who, I know some people watch on YouTube, and the number of people who watch on YouTube is increasing. But again, one of the things that helps other people find it is if you're watching YouTube, take a moment just to hit subscribe, and then you never miss an episode. But also hit like, and it's simple things like that. It increases the profile of the podcast, and it enables more people to find it. So anyway, thank you for listening in. What an honor, really. What a privilege to be part of your journeys as you listen in, and we're so glad that it's helping.
Yeah, help us, because I've kind of dropped the ball on this one, Pete. I gotta admit, I've been a little shy on the promotion of the podcast. I think there's still people in my church that are like, "Wait, what? You have a podcast?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's with Pete. He's kind of a big deal." And I've got to do a better job letting people know, because that's I'm loving this, and it's great. And one more thing before we dive into our topic today. Most of our listeners are not going to care about this, but I care about this. My team, my NFL team, the Seattle Seahawks, are going to the Super Bowl next Sunday.
Hey.
And this is a big deal. And why is this a big deal? Because this is the 50th season for my team, 50th. So it's actually one of the younger teams, 50 years. And they have only won the Super Bowl one time in 50 years.
Wow.
They've gone to it 3 times. They've lost twice. But like, it is so rare. That's in 50 years. I've only gone 3 times. So it's so rare to have be heading there. And so here we go. And I don't know, for some reason this gets delayed and put forward a few weeks, and the Super Bowls in the past. Oh yeah, we dominated. It was an crushing. It was a beatdown.
And you stayed up late last night watching.
Oh well, I watched the game leading up to the game to see who goes to the Super Bowl. Yeah, wow. 3:30 in the morning.
But so this is American rugby, right?
That's right. American rugby-ish, although rugby is a lot more intense. That's an insult to rugby, actually. So we're loving. So I'm excited about that this morning.
Yeah. So. And hey, when we're talking about team, me and Michael are season ticket holders at Hearts, and we're top of the league just now. That's pretty cool.
Hey, wow.
Yeah,
that is exciting.
I mean, we've got Rangers and Celtic breathing down our necks, but we drew yesterday with Celtic, which is a big deal.
Wow, that sounds like a East v West big deal
rivalry.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't sure if I was going to call it a rivalry. That's you can decide. You probably have an inner city rivalry that's a big deal. Do you?
Yeah, well, in Glasgow it's Rangers Celtic, obviously, and then in Edinburgh it's Hearts and Hibs. So yeah, and we've got, as City and Hill, with multiple communities, we've got worshipping communities on both sides of town, and one of the Hibs players connects with church. So I'm always I'm quite chilled out about it, but some people get quite heated about the rivalry. But no, it's good fun. It's good fun.
That's fun.
Hey, congratulations, Brian. That's great. Would you go to the Super Bowl?
It's a little out of my budget.
Okay.
I've never been to the Super Bowl or anything like that. Also, I've been to only a few games in my life, and they've only been in London because I've lived here for 20 some years. So, So, I mean, maybe if they did the Super Bowl in London, that would be awesome. This year it's in California, so. But I mean, that would be awesome. Feel free to give me some flights and anyways, so our topic is quite a bit of a big swing from the happy triumph of Super Bowl bound Seattle Seahawks and all that kind of stuff. But I want to talk about something. It's still the beginning of the year. I mean, February now, but like still the beginning of the year. And one of the things on my mind is I just kind of brainstorm. Okay, what could we talk about this week? I want to talk about. How did I word it? Let's not burn out this year. That kind of whatever your role, whatever your job. Let's just not do burnout. Let's not walk the path of burnout. There are very time tested, proven ways to burn out. If you want to burn out, we can. There's a lot of just proven ways to do that. But I want us to be better than just running the normal paths for burnout. I want to be avoiding quitting unless it's clearly a Jesus strong leading sort of thing. But I want to unnecessary leading. I think it's a big deal when I think about Joshua. Okay, I think about this verse all the time, Joshua 1:9. And at the end of it, it says, "Do not be afraid." And then it says, "Do not be discouraged." And I think both of those, fear and discouragement, are massive avenues for potentially quitting too soon, or not trying, giving up. You know, that just in the Bible, you've got those couple things. So I want to hit that topic today. Are you up for that topic?
I think it's great. Yeah, really, really helpful.
But I've got a game to do this topic.
Okay.
Pete, I've been brainstorming. I've been sitting here on my chair over here and just like, coming up with stuff and writing a lot of, on my 3x5 cards here, just writing lots of notes. Actually, I think it's 4x6, but okay. So I have 17 reasons. Okay. Some of them are better than others. Okay. Some of them might be a little bit overlapping, but we're going to go 17 reasons. 17 reasons why people might feel like quitting this year.
Okay.
So let me give you an example. Financial pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's something about like financial pressure. If when things aren't coming together, when money's tight, or even like if money's fine, but you just want like you're like, I mean, I really want to go on a holiday that I can't go on to, and that just starts irritating that you're not able to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's just one of those things that, and a lot of these things are like irritants in a life, in a calling, and I'm using calling directly, whether you work at a bank, or whether you work in a welding shop, or whether you work in a church, like irritants that can direct your life differently than how God has been setting your life, whatever the path. Financial pressure. So that's one. Do you any comments
we'll
on
start there?
Yeah, financial pressure.
Yeah. Wow. Do you know, Jesus says such challenging things, doesn't he? He'll say things like, if you don't love father and mother and brother and sister and more than me, you're not worthy of me. He'll say that sort of thing. And he'll also say, if you're not willing to leave fields and houses and for my sake and for the gospel, he actually puts the bar really high in terms of pursuit of him.
Yeah.
And that might say, oh, Pete, is this actually helping people with burnout, what you're saying? Is this not ramping up the pressure in their hearts? Mm-hmm. Actually, what I think Jesus is doing is he's dethroning idols and it could be good things like money, or it could be good things like family. That obviously he wants us to care about family, and obviously he wants us to care about money in an appropriate way.
Yeah.
But if anything gets in the way of the higher thing, which is Jesus and what Jesus is calling you to do, then let it bow the knee. Let everything fall into the appropriate order, and don't let money be the leading force. And I think money can become that pressure. Money can become that ultimate thing in some senses.
Yeah.
If there's a slight disordering in your life where, for you, having the same amount of money as someone else is almost more important than doing the will of God. But there are multiple other people that we know who actually they would rather be doing the will of God and have less money.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I realize also burnout can come in different ways from money. But that's just just a quick reflection. I mean, it's
as a missionary, I've spent a lot of time around missionaries. I mean, I'm currently not, I wouldn't classify myself really as a missionary right now, but I used to be part of a mission organization and around a lot of missionaries. And one of the things that led towards giving up on people's missionary callings was not doing the work of fundraising. And so it wasn't necessarily about greed. It was like, I don't want to do the part of my job or of my calling. I don't want to do the part of my calling it's just part of it. And so I want to do this part, but not that part. And so money ends up being connected to that. And the other thing I was going to say is the words of Jesus that hang on me a lot when it comes to money is, he says that the context was inheritance, but he says, be on guard against all kinds of greed. And I just found myself, okay, there are lots of sneaky kinds of greed that we need to be on guard against. And they can lead to discouragement and just making changes or chasing a job because it's better pay, but it's not the right move for you or for.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think there's a pressure also, especially in the West. Somehow people think that everyone else has got a better life and that we need to have the holidays that they're having, want to drive the car that they're driving, want to have that lifestyle that they're having.
Yeah.
But then, and that's, and God has no problem with you having a nice car or going on nice holidays.
Yeah.
But I think that becomes a problem when it's beyond your means.
Yeah.
And you're starting to, you're paying up the holiday that you had 3 months ago or 4 months ago, and it's starting to eat into other financial priorities, and you stop other rhythms like saving and tithing and other things that are really important. But I guess it's just having a longer term view.
Yeah.
Don't try and get everything this year or even the next 5 years. Take a longer term view, and do you know what? Maybe for a while you just go local holidays. You hire a caravan in Scotland and live within your means. And hey, you're going to have more happiness and joy. You won't get as good a tan, but you're going to have more happiness, and you put yourself under less pressure. Give yourself a break. Don't feel the pressure to have to live up to it. And also change. If you have a philosophy where you're living outside of your means, you need to change that philosophy, because that's not sustainable, and it sets a bad example for your kids.
Have we talked about money and debt in anytime soon? Or maybe last spring, right? We might have talked
it feels like last year sometime. Yeah.
We should probably talk a little bit more about.
For sure.
That's a big deal. But
yeah.
Okay, so that's 1 out of 17.
Yeah, it's true. But people burn out with that.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you're saying that's connected to a lot of these. I think a lot of the things that lead to burnout is because of the intensity of our emotions and thoughts about something right in front of us. And so often we have to zoom out and make big picture decisions instead of blowing up the big picture because of the moment, or because of one or two things or 5 things.
Yeah.
All right. So financial pressure. Do you want to guess on another one of these? This is like Family Feud. Brian, one person's been surveyed. He has 17 things.
Okay. So this is one of the reasons for burnout, right?
Yeah.
So doing things you're not meant to be doing.
Okay, I'm sure that's going to be I'm going to work it in here somewhere. Okay, doing something. Okay, how about if we connect that to, there's two things. Maybe carrying everyone else's burdens personally,
Okay.
or unrealistic expectations from yourself or others. I don't know.
I think we're gonna have
Let's
to. I think we're gonna have a list of 18, Brian.
yeah.
I think this is.
Let's use yours. Say what
I
was
think
that?
this is
Say that again.
doing things you shouldn't be doing.
Okay, tell me about that.
Okay, so I think we've got 24/7. Every one of us has got 24/7, and in that 24/7,
Yeah.
there are things we should be doing, and there are things we shouldn't be doing. And I think one of the things that can happen in life is we start picking up a whole lot of tasks and a whole lot of responsibilities. Maybe it's out of our we're not able to say no to people.
Yeah.
Maybe that's our
Yeah.
I can't say no to people, so I'll just agree to it.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up taking on things or doing more things than you should be doing. And I don't know if you can ever relate to that, Brian.
Oh yeah, I'm just thinking some of my biggest failures are doing, great things, but that are wrong things, or
Yeah.
saying yes.
And sometimes it comes out of a good heart. Sometimes
Yeah,
it comes
yeah.
out of I just want to help. I'm up for it.
Right.
But you end up overcommitting. And then what happens is you start resenting things. You start not doing things as well. And you start actually having that sensation of burnout because you're taking on too much. So,
Yeah.
And you know what? It's not like we should be the opposite extreme where you're so focused on the few things you're meant to be doing that literally you never help anyone, or you don't want to be that extreme either. But you got to have here's how I put it. You got to have a to-do list,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to have a to not do list.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's super. Like in the book of Nehemiah, there's a moment where one of his enemies said to him, could you come over to the? I think it was like, could you come over to the plains of Oh No, and have a conversation with me, and
Yes.
And Nehemiah said, I'm carrying out a great task. And they were sent to distract me. And I think it's really important that we understand that Satan can distract you with sinful distractions, but he can also distract you with unsinful distractions.
Yeah.
For example, David in the Old Testament, there was a moment where the devil incited David to take a census.
Yeah.
Like, what? Take a census? It's not like David had done some pretty bad stuff in his past, but this doesn't feel like one of the baddies.
Yeah.
And yet, it really was a bad move. It wasn't that there was anything fundamentally wrong with the census. It was wrong because it was the devil who gave him that idea.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the enemy's greatest tactic in people's lives is to give them too much, even good stuff, so that they end up distracted and ineffective. So you got to have a to-do list, and that should line up with, here's who God's called me to be, and here's what I need to get done in line with that, here's what I need to get done in the next week or month or year. Yeah. But you also got to have a to not do list.
Yeah.
And linked to that is learning the ability to say, I'm really sorry, no, I can't help with that. Yeah. And it's opportunity management. Opportunity management. Huge.
Every Monday, I go through my list or things. I've done it this morning already, and I go through my list, and I'm like, okay, what should I not do this week on this list? What should I have other people do? Other people do this week. And I've been surprised over the years that different people, like in business and in all kinds of things, if they have like a PA of some sort, sometimes they just don't use the team around them well, and they do too much themselves, and they don't let go of some of those tasks. But I'm always thinking through, okay, here's the challenges for the week, here's the things, what needs to go to some of the people around me, not to give them more work, but because naturally I just like, okay, this is what I need to do, here I go. It's at a small scale of the not, but if you keep failing that task of like getting the things you're not supposed to do off your plate, then you're going to get exhausted, and when you're exhausted, you start making bad decisions, and because you're frustrated because you're not getting to the things that you want to get to yourself, or you feel called to get to, and they're not. Yeah. So yes,
it's huge. It's huge, and it's really hard, isn't it? Because so sometimes I'll get someone say, Pete, would you become a trustee for our organization? I've had 2 organizations ask me that in the last year, and they're both wonderful organizations. And I'd love to say, I totally love what you're doing. I'll say yes to that.
Yeah.
And you always think, well, it wouldn't really take that much time.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you just have a few of those things, and they always take more time than you think. You always just have a few of those things. It just tips the balance into, okay, this is no longer sustainable. So you got to say no. And Brian, I think this is an important point. I think the reason many people don't fulfill God's purpose for their life is they spend their time doing secondary things rather than primary things. Mm-hmm. And, there are certain things which, if you do those few things, you'll be doing exactly what God called you to do. But some people aren't getting to those few things because of the other layer of things which keep busying them. But somehow or another, you gotta clear those other things out of the way, say no to a ton of stuff, and then give yourself to the few things which those few things are going to achieve the results that God's called me to achieve.
Yeah, just listening to you, it seems like so important that we know what we're about. We know that what we're called to do, so that we can filter, and so we can be clear on that. By the way, out there, anybody who's listening, who's starting charities or running charities, if you want a trustee and you want to experience rejection, go ahead and reach out to Pete, and he will turn you down. But you can at least say, "Hey, we tried." And
I'm so sorry.
You heard it here in advance. All right. So I mentioned a few there, just unrealistic expectations of yourself and others, and carrying everyone's burdens personally, trying to fix everybody's problems around you. When I was going through seminary, I had a guy named Matt Hannon was our lecturer. He was a pastor at a big church, and he always talked about be alert to the monkey, and he had this illustration. I think it was an illustration, but in my mind it's an illustration of a monkey on your back, a task. And he's like, as a leader, you can't keep taking other people's monkeys and sticking them on your back. You've got to make sure that you keep their monkeys on their back. And if you're the leader, you might be giving them monkeys, and that's okay if you're the leader, but you can't take the monkeys, the tasks from other people. Like they might come up like, I just can't figure this out. Oh, okay. Let me. No. You can't take on the monkeys. So, burnout again, getting off track, getting off your thing, and doing their work.
Wow. And do you know, Brian, especially if someone's really pastoral or empathetic.
Yeah.
This is really Angie, for example. Dear Ange, she's got such a heart for people, and so if someone's not doing well or someone's struggling with something, Angie will feel the burden of that personally, and sometimes feel like I want to take that from them. And and there are times when it's good to take on their monkeys. Yeah. But there's other times where you got to help them carry their own monkey and pray for them as they do. So, but especially for people who really care for other people. It's
speaking
super important.
Of the list, and Ange, one of them is constant emotional output with little emotional input, like just that pouring out of care and concern without getting enough back. That's a. Do you want to take another guess on another one?
Okay, right.
I mean, we're going to get our list to 30 by the time we get through.
Okay, I mean, the obvious one. Working disproportionately long hours.
Okay, great. I kind of went the other direction on that one, lack of rest rhythms. But, that's sort of like overworking, under resting, that spectrum. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you want to say about that? Good.
Okay. Well, I can't remember if I've said this before in the podcast, but I remember hearing one guy who...
people don't listen. They have this in the background. So, did Pete say anything like that? I mean, but if we say it enough times, somewhere in their tasks as they're kind of listening casually in the background, just kidding, everybody. I know you guys are taking notes. That's right.
They're sitting down at the desks with a notepad.
Yeah, exactly. So write this one down. Write what Pete's saying down right now. That's great.
So there was a well-known pastor from Africa who carried he had a very large church and carried was doing a lot of great things in the nation. And I remember the question was put to him, how on earth do you manage to do all this? How is it sustainable? And he said, I've learned to work hard and play hard. And I think that's a brilliant. I mean, it's easier said than done because you've got to be able to switch off. Because some people find it hard to that, but you got to discipline yourself to when you're at work. You're all there. I'm all in. It's a good day's graft is great, but then you got to know when to stop and say, do you know what? I'm just going to chill out and watch Traitors on television, or chill out and we're going to go out for a walk, or chill out and I'm going to read a book. You're able to switch off. You have to be able to work hard and then literally say, okay, now that's over. Stop, finish, and. And do you know, actually, I think that's got harder, Brian. I think that's got harder when people with more working from home. I think, I think people are. It used to be there was separation between their workplace and their home, so it's almost like that drive home or that time on the bus. That was their kind of wind down, so then they could re-engage at home. Which maybe helps, but I think it's harder when people are working from home and they go from horizontal to sitting up in bed with a laptop to lying down. It's nighttime. Yeah. They're sitting up in bed. And it's like this, they don't, some people just stay in their bedroom the whole day or go from the bedroom to their study. Yeah. So people have got to manage those dynamics.
You've got an outside pod here that you're sitting in right now, like some sort of office pod. Now, do you hang out in that when you're not working?
I do actually. Yeah.
Okay.
I got a guitar for my 50th, Brian.
What? Wow.
Yeah. I used to play guitar when I was in my 20s, and my fingers have gone all soft because I haven't played it for so many years. But I got myself a guitar, and so I'll come and read books, play the guitar.
Great.
Obviously, read my Bible.
I'm going to a podcast of Pete's new songs that he's writing. Are we going to do you're just going to sit there with your guitar and sing us some songs? We can make like some outro music. This would be great. I can see it. Wow, that's fun. I love that.
Yeah, but having a wee outside pod it's great. My dear dad, when he passed away, me and my sister sold this house in Glasgow, and with some of that money, I bought this garden office, which is great because our house is quite compact, so it didn't have a study.
Yeah.
And so I was always lacking that extra room. So it gave us that little bit extra room, which is just fantastic. It's a real blessing. But I'll often go and sit and work in a coffee shop, or, sometimes I'll go when I'm doing phone calls, instead of sitting, I'll go out for a long walk or something like that. And I'll take calls or do meetings while walking. I just think somehow having a separation from work and non-work is good. But working hard, playing hard, learn to switch between them and the discipline of it, rather than letting work spill into non-work time, but also non-work time spilling into work time. Yeah. But both can be not the best.
Yeah, really significant. I have on my keys for avoiding burnout list, fun and friendship, like same sort of vibes. And I was asked in 2012, like, what do you do for fun? And I'm like, well, church. This is what I do for fun. I love this. But I kind of realized I need to come up with something. And that's when I decided to get into the NFL, just for some other like distraction thing. And then recently, now that my kids are, my youngest is 20 now. So he just birthdayed. So now I'm in kind of that life stage, and I'm like, I'm starting to really get into golf. I'm not great, but I love it. And even just trying, most on a lot of days off. Kelly's got her things that she's wanting to do. She appreciates it if I get out a little bit, because I do work in the house a lot. So just kind of get out, and I just feel so recharged just walking, trying to hit that little white ball. And just being outside, but yeah, finding things that are fun and friendship. But anyway, we can come back to our keys in a little bit. Let me hit a few more. How about criticism and betrayal? The people pains.
Oh wow,
yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah, let me just drop that one. Boom. When you hit like seasons of criticism or grumbling in some of our contexts, where everybody's kind of like grumbling against you, criticizing against you, turning against you, betrayal. Yeah.
It's a really tough one, Brian. I mean, it's one of the, actually, I think it's one of the hardest things. Mm-hmm. And, I have the privilege of working with different pastors, and I think for them, it's the toughest thing.
Yeah.
Because what typically happens is you hear a comment or a couple of comments, and it's so much louder in your head.
Yeah.
The narrative starts running. Oh, everyone's saying this.
Yeah.
But not everyone is saying that. A few people are saying it, and the minority voices are really loud.
Yeah.
But it's really hard. And I just think for pastors and leaders, it's super hard. I'm sure in a business context, do you know what? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Whether it's business or whether it's education or wherever you are.
Yeah.
The comments of other people really affect you. And some people's comments, it's just like, no, that doesn't bother me. It's almost like I expect them to be like that, so no problem.
Yeah.
But it's when the comment comes from someone that you maybe carry them with respect, or you've held them in a high regard, and it has a devastating impact on you. It's really hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because in that moment, it's almost like it's no longer logical thoughts you're thinking. You're flooded by emotional thoughts, and they're hard to you can't just come on, shake out of it. You can't just do that. You're kind of stuck with them, and you lose a bit of sleep. And no, it's a really tough one.
It is. I mean, and again, like what you're saying, the closer, like if it's in the home, sometimes some people live it with a lot of that in their home environments.
Yeah.
And so it's not even a work reality. It's like, it's a home reality. And that can just have just such a devastating impact in a lot of ways. Oh yeah.
You know, a psalm that, is it Psalm 26? Let's see, Psalm 26. Psalm 26 starts with "Vindicate me, O Lord, for I've walked in my integrity." I think that's the one. Let's just check. Psalm 16 or 20. I think it's Psalm 26. See? Okay, yeah. A Psalm of David. "Vindicate me, O Lord, for I've walked in my integrity. I've trusted in the Lord without wavering." And what I find interesting there, David's saying, "Vindicate me."
Yeah.
And what that tells me is that, that means, God, would you stand up for me? Yeah. God, when I can't speak for myself, would you speak for me? Yeah. And here's David, obviously in a situation where he's feeling like things are being said about him, accusations are being made about him, and he feels, the very fact he's asking God to vindicate him tells me he can't vindicate himself.
Yeah.
And I remember...
Moses is a great example of somebody who lets God do that for him. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I guess the only way you can resolve these things is to take the harsh criticisms, the harsh words of others to God and say, God, it's a good psalm to pray. You can use, this is where the psalms come in helpful. Use the psalms as the basis of your praying. You don't know what to say yourself, so pick up Psalm 26. "Vindicate me, O Lord, for I've walked in it." Pray the psalm. Pray it back to God. Give it to God. And my experience is you give it to God. To be honest, I wish right then the emotions would leave, but it doesn't often happen that way. Sometimes you're giving it to God, an hour later, all right, I need to give it to you again. God, it's still lingering here. And it's almost like you consistently give it to God until it lifts. Yeah. I don't know, people who don't have God, I don't know how they cope with that. I don't know where they can go with those thoughts and feelings and emotions. For me, I take them to the Lord and say, God, help me with this. And he does.
Yeah, very powerful. I can think of several times where I feel really rescued, like the psalmists would write, like very rescued from environments like that or people like that, or sometimes people moving on, but sometimes God breaking through in that person's life and breaking that critical heart, or it's just, God can totally rescue us from moments and even extended seasons of that. Yeah. We can talk more about that. I want to hit another few here. Slow results. Also, I'm kind of combining that with chronic disappointment. Slow results. That, that goes back to the discouragement word. I'm discouraged. Like, I want progress. I want fruit. I want success. And I'm in this job. I'm not seeing this way forward. I'm not seeing things. Maybe they're going backwards. Just that kind of discouragement. Any thoughts about those?
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Especially, I'm wired as a ground taker. I'm wired as, it's been a good week if we've taken something from here to here.
Yeah.
For me, that's been a good week. If I've just maintained the status quo, that's not a good week. It has to be, right, today we've taken ground. Yeah. And so there's something in me, almost like it erodes me to not take ground. And I know some people listening in, whether it's in ministry, whether it's in their workplace or in life or with projects, they're wired that way. But you know that there's a real danger as well. I think there's a godly wiring like that. There's a godly, visionary, entrepreneurial type wiring that God gives us. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a subtle danger in the middle of that success becomes an idol, that progress becomes an idol. For the classic one for church leaders is that numbers becomes the idol. That, how many people are in your church? All right, I've got more people in my church. So you feel good about yourself. You think,
comparison's another one on my list. Yeah, comparison's another one.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. So you start comparing your success with other people's success, and then you deem them to be a better person than you, and all this kind of nonsense. Just absolute nonsense. But here's the truth, Brian, and this is the real truth. I don't know anyone who truly has succeeded who hasn't, at various points, gone through seasons of deep anxiety or deep frustration over lack of progress. And it's so the people who do see long-term impact are the ones who have learned to persevere through the dry seasons as well as the amazing seasons. You got to get through that, and I've seen that in people in workplace environments where they've just had to persevere through some hard times, and then breakthrough came, or whether it's in church ministry, it's breakthrough comes. But I just think we've got to dethrone the idol of success. We've got to, the prayer has got to be, Jesus, Jesus said, by this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit. And so that good prayer is, God, for the glory of your name, let me bear fruit. But be careful that it doesn't become an idol for you. It's so big.
I've got 3 strategies for different kinds of seasons in life. The advancing seasons, how I want to be navigating advancing seasons where everything's kind of going forward. But I have lots of experience with backward seasons. I hate backward seasons when things are collapsing, when they're going down. In the early years, like so many backward seasons. I know you've had some backward seasons, like extremely backward seasons. Like in those kind of moments, how do I want to navigate those seasons? And then how do I want to navigate seasons where I just feel like things are stuck and not progressing? Now, I've had a lot of experience in extended periods of time with all 3 of those dynamics. And I just found like in order to not give up, in order to not quit too soon, like I want to, before I get into those 3 seasons, because we're probably going to have all 3 of those at different times in our lives. What is our mission and our mindset and the way that we navigate, especially the backward seasons and the stuck seasons? Like what is it that I'm trying to do at the church during those kinds of seasons? So that's just out of experience, and I think that everyone should be kind of mentally armed. For me, it's like if things are stuck, okay. The Bible says, plant water, God makes it grow, sort of a thing. So I go to the mindset of, okay, if things are stuck, I'm going to attend to the foundations. I'm mixing metaphors here, but like I strengthen the foundations. I believe that when the foundations are stronger and things are ready, then as it grows, then we'll be able to hold something better, stronger. Attend to the foundations, but it's so easy.
I think it's great. And I remember early stages of our church in Edinburgh. It took us 4 years to get to 30 people. What? That was so painfully slow. And but when you arrive in a city to plant a church, you arrive with a vision like, oh yeah, we're believing the Lord. It's if you were to interview me on day 1, so Pete, 4 years time, how many people are going to be? I wouldn't have said, oh, there's so going to be 30 people. I wouldn't have said that. You'd be believing for, add an extra 0 to it maybe. But sometimes the reality is you're living with a big vision and a small reality. And that can be eroding as a visionary person. And I think there's a temptation in that moment, is that you start shrinking the size of your vision to fit your reality. That you give up on big vision and you give up on big dreams and godly ambition. You give up on those things because you find it too eroding to live with the small realities you've got. One other thing, Ryan, just to say about motive in this, church leaders, and I'm sure it applies in the same way in other contexts, but for church leaders, if you believe in the success of the church, but actually if you analyze it, really what you believe in is the success of your church. I think it's so here's a question, church leaders, do you rejoice when other churches around you succeed? if another church along the road is succeeding, do you rejoice? And do you thank God that, praise the Lord, people are coming to faith? It's a bit harder if they're growing because people from your church are leaving and going to that church. That's a bit harder.
Yeah.
But even with that, can you keep a good heart? Can you keep a good attitude? Are you big-hearted enough to say, Lord, actually, I'm rejoicing in the success of your church, not just my church? And another question, if another church isn't doing so well and they're losing people, are you quietly glad because you think, actually, they needed brought down a couple of notches? Or are you grieving because, oh no, this is the Church of Jesus Christ? So I think we've got to get beyond, it's not just we believe in our church, but we believe in the church. If a Bible preaching church is succeeding in my region, I want to be the first to say, hallelujah, please let it succeed more, God. Because the big win is it's not our church, it's his church, and we just get to play a part in it. Hugely important for motive.
Yeah. There's a lot more on the list. I want to talk about like keys to like not, like good strategies. We talked about some like fun and friends and friendships and stuff. But I think one more thing that I want to say, at least for people in spiritual or Christians, I guess, Christians, whatever their context, I want to highlight the spiritual realities that there is sometimes a spiritual, maybe always a spiritual agenda to get us off of God's plans and purposes for our lives. And I just think it's so important for me in the mornings to win the wars of my mind and my heart, and make sure that I'm whatever I'm feeling, whatever potential discouragements or challenges, that I'm alert that the enemy would like to get me off track. And that could be in changing jobs or careers, for anybody. For me, it's a ministry thing, but like, yeah, I think that's also something worth stated, because we have an enemy, and maybe God's calling for your life is to be a welder, and you're doing that, and the enemy is wanting to get you off track or whatever, professionally. Just be alert to the spiritual realities. I mean, I'm going to say something like that, but let's talk about
That's huge.
We've got, we'll skip the list right now. Keys to do that. Let's talk about Sabbath.
Great. Brilliant.
I mean, that's a major rhythm. It's a major rhythm piece for sustainability, for reset. Like Jesus says, a Sabbath was made for man. Like like that. It is for people. It is good for people. We can grumble about it. Historically, all through the Old Testament, they're grumbling about it. You mentioned Nehemiah; they're resisting it in those days. But like, man, it's Sabbath rest is so key to stay on God's plans and purposes. It's such an underestimated, powerful thing for us.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's no longer this law that we need to obey, but it's a wisdom that's good for our lives. I think it's great. Yeah. No, I'm with you, Brian. 1 day in 7, I take the day off, and we enjoy that day.
Mm-hmm.
We really enjoy that day. I know some people are super strict about it. Like, oh no, they literally put their phone away, and they make sure that everything's in for the day before so that they can really relax. They don't need to go shopping. No, we're not. We don't treat it like we're super chilled out about it. We just enjoy it. We go for walks. We go for some, go and eat something. We, go to the gym. It's just a fun time. It's just a day off.
Yeah.
I sometimes on my day off I'll do DIY. I love building things. I absolutely love building things, and get my sleeves rolled up and doing some practical work. It's just because I'm not having to prepare something or speak at something or run this meeting or be at this meeting or attend a thing. I'm just able to do something different.
Recording.
Yeah. I'm not having to think about podcasts.
That's good.
Yeah. So what about you? How do you?
I mean, that's, yeah, I just know that if I'm not intentional to not work, and I pay a price, big price the next week. It's such a big deal. But connected to that, I'm not sure if I got this from our podcast or not. I have started this year, and so somewhere near the end of last year, I'm like, no, I'm gonna do this in rhythm. Uh, a, for me as a pastor, a Jesus day, a Jesus day, where I'm just like even in my schedule, I'm like I'm taking a one day a month. It's one day a month where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
pray, I'm gonna journal, I'm gonna discern, I'm gonna go on prayer walk, I'm gonna spend time just in God's word and just an abide a day, a direction day, a strategy with Jesus, kind of that sort of a day. So I've done that now once here. I did that in January, and I'm telling you, it was a boost. It was such a significant time. But yeah, it's part of that connecting with Jesus, that refilling, the clarity, getting the clarity. Do you do anything like? Was that from our podcast, or was that just from something else?
It could well. I mean, it's what I do, but it could
Oh
well
yeah,
be from a podcast.
there we
Yeah.
go. I mean, it's the
It's a great thing. So I would say, rest weekly,
mhm,
retreat monthly, holiday yearly.
mhm,
Just have a rhythm of, and what I like about the, whether it's a monthly retreat or it's that taking not just your normal hour, but actually having several hours just to be with the Lord. And it's like, it's a recalibration. It links to knowing what you're meant to do and knowing what you're not meant to do. It's
yeah,
a day to say, Lord, have I got it right? It's like, I think I've used this illustration before. It's like you're heading towards a mountain, and you know the mountain's there, but you've gone into a forest and you can no longer see the mountain. You think you're kind of going in the right direction, but you can't really see. So every so often you kind of shimmy up a tree, and then at the top of the tree you can see across the canopy. Oh, there's the mountain there. You recalibrate slightly, turn a few degrees, shimmy back down the tree, and then you go on your journey again. Except this time, a couple of degrees adjustment, you're on track. And every so often you climb up a tree, recalibrate, get yourself on track. And I think that's what that monthly retreat does. Just time every month just to say, okay, Lord, where am I heading? Very powerful.
I had a great one. It was during our fasting week, right? So it was set up for success. But I went up to Glen Eagles.
Oh, wow.
I know.
And you were praying as you went around the golf course.
No, 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 no. It was closed. It was all frozen. But I did walk a big loop through the golf. They have a big path there I did a couple hours, just kind of prayer
Yeah.
walking. I sat down, had some, I don't know, tea or something, and in a place and read the book of Matthew.
Oh, great.
And just the whole thing. Spend some time in the afternoon just praying and discerning and journaling. It was just a great escape. So I suppose next time I try it, if I head up to Glen Eagles, all of a sudden it's like, hey, it's turned into a pastor's conference. I got a pastor's gathering of Jesus Day people. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great. Love that. And yeah.
Yeah.
And that just linking in with that, Brian, this is maybe not as dramatic as a day off a week, which I think is I think it's just should be a no-brainer. Just everyone take a day off. And by the way, the day off a week thing, some people with young kids are saying, Pete, how do I do that? Because when I've got my day off, they're there.
Yeah.
It's like, but yeah, and I get it. And it's different. It's not like you're sitting around.
Can I
and
comment on that? The
Yeah, of
Sabbath
course.
was a family day.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a day with the kids. It wasn't a day. The Jewish Sabbath wasn't escape from your kids' day. Like it was family meal. It was like it
Yeah.
was home, very home focused. It was God and together with it wasn't escape from your kids' day. I'm just putting that
Building
out.
Lego with the kids and all that stuff. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's what they were doing in the Old Testament for sure.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was the typical Jewish Sabbath, and as they went through the
yeah. Star
wilderness.
Wars Legos. Yep. Yeah, exactly.
So here's a simple one, and I just think it's a really important principle: pray before do.
Mm.
Pray before do,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I think I mean, who was it? Was it Martin Luther who said, "I've got so much to do today. I've got to spend the first 4 hours in prayer."
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's a head spin, that one.
Yeah.
I've got so much to do today. I've got to spend the first 4 hours in prayer. Now,
Yeah.
I can't say I've ever spent the first 4 hours in prayer,
Yeah.
but the principle's right, isn't it? That actually, instead of just jumping into activity, go and pray about it. And it might be in that moment, you still go on to do the stuff you were planning to do,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe it could be in that moment that God actually says, okay, 3 of those things do, but there's two of those things I don't want you to do.
Yeah.
And actually just taking that moment to recalibrate.
Yeah.
But just in general,
yeah,
things go so much better when you've prayed about it. Like if you've got a series of things coming up in your work schedule, guaranteed, if you take time praying about those things before you jump into them, they will go so much better than it would have if you hadn't. Yeah. And don't do the experiment. I'll try doing them without praying. No, it just won't go as well. Yeah. Pray about it. Pray, then do, and just have that ethos. And so I know we can start the day with prayer, but in the middle of the day, quite often, in the middle of the day, I'll just go for a walk and I'll just pray through a few things that I'm doing. So it's good to Daniel. He did it 3 times a day. He had prayer mornings, middle of the day, later in the day. Just stop periodically and pray about what you're doing. Really important.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're saying is there are rhythms that you can have in your life that will really guard against burnout, no matter what's going on, no matter the critical. I mean, you're going to feel the criticisms, no matter what challenges you're facing in your life. But there are some real stabilizing rhythms that, like, we know, like, get your Jesus times right in the morning, whether it's like praying through your day or whether it's dealing with, okay, I think the enemy's trying to discourage me. Okay, I'm praying against discouragement right now. And like on Sunday, I talk about this all the time. I'm like, anxiety, insecurity, doubt, self-doubt, get out of my life in Jesus' name. Like, just hitting it like day to day. Weekly rhythms, monthly rhythms. You're talking about yearly rhythms. Other things besides rhythms, I'm alert to, like input rhythms, like conferences or podcasts. I know a great podcast, Brian Pete podcast. But reading some books that can help with some of the challenges. Fun and friendship stuff. Anything else that you comes to mind? Oh, for me. Oh, go ahead.
Go. You go.
For me, with my wiring, I think one of the things that I have to really be careful about is being patient. Like just patient. Lack of patience can really increase my discontentment, and so just kind of calming myself, surrendering it all. Like, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna run after Jesus. I'm gonna go after it for the week. I'm gonna run hard, but also I'm not gonna let, like, my lack of patience rob me of joy. I think you messaged me the other day about Sunday, like, hey, let's do this, or wherever you say. I mean, I read the message. I'm not, but I'm like, my verse for today is serve the Lord with gladness, not just get through it, but like just gladness. And that's an intentional heart, no matter what the challenges are for the day.
Yeah, no, I think, Brian, you're absolutely right. Having that taking in moment is super important. I was at a conference down in London. It's not really a conference. Terry Virgo, who's been on the podcast, he once a year does a thing for different leaders, and there's a few of us go down, and a few of us from the UK kind of gather together, and it's just 2 days together learning, and I take copious notes, and it's just such a refresh. I feel topped up from it. I feel built up, encouraged, inspired afresh, enriched through iron sharpening iron. But we all need environments like that just do that for us. Yeah. But one of the things, I guess, I guess that's me speaking as a pastor, as a leader, where I need to be in that environment. But actually, for people who are not in pastoral leadership, a church should be that environment. Mm. So if you're a teacher, or you work in a bank, or you're a student, and you've got crazy busy season, just getting to church on Sunday, being among God's people, raising your hands, singing your soul out to God, opening your heart as the Bible's open. Okay, Lord, teach me. And then, I mean, some people maybe in the middle of a crazy busy season think, oh, I don't have time to go to church this week. No, you need the input. So church can be, God willing, it should be that environment where you can take in ahead of all that you're giving out in your family, all that you're giving out in your workplace. Yeah,
that's good. I love it. Well, we're kind of out of time. There's so many things we could talk about, but I do believe that this is something we need to be mindful of, because I don't want to see people quitting on their life paths unnecessarily because of like big things in the moment, but that are trying to derail the bigger things in the big picture. And just again, do not let your heart be troubled, do not be afraid, do not be discouraged. The Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Pete, any final things you want to say about this topic before we wrap up?
I think it's super helpful. One final thing.
Yeah.
Is God doesn't bless hard work; He blesses commanded work.
Mm.
And it's not about working hard, although we believe in hard work. It's not all on you.
Yeah. It's
just trying to, as best you can, just line yourself up in the different areas in your life with the will of God. That's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Be in the zone with the Lord. Be under the spout where the glory comes out.
Wow. Okay, good. If you guys have any questions, we go through those and we look them over. Brian and Pete podcast at gmail.com. Or you don't need to have questions. You just be like, man, comments, positive comments. Brian, I'm so glad you didn't wear the same top twice in a row. That would have been embarrassing. Whatever. Positive feedback appreciated. Negative feedback goes to the enemy. We don't accept that. Positive. Let me pray for us, and then we'll call it good. Father, I do pray that you would encourage everybody listening, that you would strengthen them in their inmost being for the days ahead, for the challenges ahead. God, I ask in the name of Jesus for your encouragement, that you would surround your people with encouragers and encouragements, that you would crush the enemy's plans to discourage and to disrupt and to bring pain and harm into people's lives and situations. And God, we just ask a blessing over our listeners. Lead us clearly, guide our paths, and help us to walk this path of following you and not giving up. Bless us all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Great. Good to chat, Brian. Thanks everyone for listening.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
We hope that you enjoyed today's episode of the Brian and Pete podcast. If you found this episode helpful, share with a friend and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss an episode. Brian is the pastor of Rehope Church, a multi-site church that started in Glasgow. He is also the founder of Scotland Bible School, a 3-year Bible school where students study every book of the Bible. Pete is the pastor of City on a Hill, a multi-site church across Edinburgh and the Lothians. He also leads Go Global, a family of hundreds of churches spanning 17 countries. If you'd like to submit a question to Brian and Pete, please email brianandpetepodcast@gmail.com. We look forward to having you join us for next week's episode.